Welcome to the Brand Doctor Podcast, strategies that help entrepreneurs build reputable and profitable brands. Here's your host, Henry Kaminski Jr.
Hey, what's going on, everyone? Henry Kaminski here with another Brand Doctor Podcast episode for you guys. This is episode 111. Wow, that goes fast. 111 episodes in 4 months. Jesus. Time flies when you're having fun. What can I say? So today we have an amazing guest. He is another branding professional, and I bumped into him. We actually connected on Instagram, and we sort of been following each other for a while. And I wanted to have him on the show because, like you guys know, I love bringing in other people in the industry to get their perspective on certain pet peeves or topics or what's happening in the branding industry. So without further ado, I want to introduce you to Robin Jovi from Bamboo Branding. What's going on, Robin?
Not too much. How's your day going?
I'm doing pretty awesome, man. It's Friday. I got a jam-packed weekend. It's going to be a lot of fun. We got the Super Bowl on Sunday. It's going to be a lot of fun. So for those in my audience that don't know who you are, give us your backstory. Tell us how you got Bamboo Branding off the ground in the first place.
Well, I had worked in advertising and marketing since the 90s, and with web sort of building up and then circling back to realizing that the brand is where your heart is of your business, right? So from there, just realizing that I needed to do it on my own. And needed to start an agency, and just reached out about 7 years ago and just took that plunge and been moving forward ever since.
That's awesome. So let's just dive into it. We were talking offline about what are some topics that can help my audience who are typically solopreneurs, consultants, speakers, when it comes to creating content. So I have to say, for me, content creation comes very, very easy. I got the gift of gab. I love video. I love audio. So it comes very easy for me. But for a lot of my clients, it's a struggle. It's stressful. What do I talk about? My life just isn't that exciting. How do I create excitement? How do I connect with my audience? So today's topic of discussion is some stress-free ways to create content to help you connect with your audience. So Robin, let's kick it off. What are some ways our audience can create content in a manner that doesn't feel like it's a task, a daunting task?
It's funny because I think that's the key, right? A lot of people look at it going, oh, I have to do this and it has to be done this specific way. And I think I mentioned this earlier, is you just have to be honest with yourself. You just have to either go out and do it or hire somebody to do it. And in a lot of cases with your followers, these are people that are starting a business or that are growing a business and just getting into, whether it be social media, whether it be content creation on their own. And it just takes a lot of testing and a lot of understanding your brand and really starting with what's the story you want to tell. I think that's probably the best way to look at it is, what story do you want to tell? Write down a paragraph of, this is what I want to say, and just go out and do it. And then realize that Instagram, for in particular, Instagram is the one shot for 100 takes. Right, so realize that the guys you see out there that are doing these amazing jobs at just being on brand all the time, they're not posting the first video; they're posting the last video.
That's it. That makes so much sense. So you wanna really get true to yourself and really ask yourself that question. What story do I want to tell? Do I start here? Do I start there? I could give you a personal experience where, I'm in 10 years of business last year, right? So I'm going into my 11th year. And so there was phase 1 and there was phase 2. And so I broke that up into sort of a little mini documentary, if you will. And part 1 is how I began the brand. And which led up to, where I was, 5 years in. And then when my business took a big dump 5 years in, I talked about that story and how I sort of resurrected it and brought it back to life. So as you create your brand, there's going to be different chapters in its lifetime. And so pick a chapter and chat about it. And so what story do you want to tell is a great way to get comfortable with the content creation process. So the second thing that I want to talk about is, I just had it on the tip of my tongue. Oh man, I hate when it just goes away in a split second. Let me get it back. Hold on. So it's telling your story and then being consistent with it. Okay. Oh, this is what I wanted to tell you. This is what I wanted to say. So knowing your audience is so key.
Absolutely.
Right. So one of the things that I do is specifically on Instagram is I'm constantly surveying my audience. I'm constantly asking them questions, and that tells me and gives me a good pulse on what fires them up, what puts them to sleep, and what fires them up. So
on top of that, that's also your brand. That's what you're developing your brand around. So it definitely fits with that realm.
Exactly. And so the juice is out there waiting for you. Like it's the questions, the comments, the fodder, all of that is out there. All you have to do is go to Google and type in sort of a keyword in your niche and then hit news. And you have stuff to talk about for days. It's just the tools are out there. The information's out there. It's just grabbing it, making sure that it's going to connect with your audience, that it's relevant with your audience, and then putting your spin on it. Right? I mean, let's not reinvent the wheel here.
Well, and that's the thing too. It comes down to your brand is really starts as something you want to develop, but it becomes what your clients think you are. So to be able to, your job when it comes to manipulating and to creating your brand is more about directing your followers and directing your clientele to believe in your brand the same way you do. And that comes down to your story of how you want to represent that. And you can start and maybe their first 3, 4, 5, 10 times may not be the best video in the world, or it may not be the best content, or might not get the most likes. But then you'll notice that as you keep going, you'll learn your brand from your client perspective just as well as you want them to know your brand the way you want to develop it. So it really comes to this back and forth, and you use that say failure, so to speak, to build up higher the next time.
Absolutely. So understanding your audience is number 2. So we got, what story do you want to tell? And understanding your audience's pains, desires, challenges, and really creating a dialogue with them, not a monologue. And that's another thing that I want to bring up in today's show is when you bring them into the conversation, when you bring your audience into the conversation. So when I do Facebook Lives, for example, right, and I start to see people join the show or join the live, I start calling people out. Hey, what's up, John Smith? What's up, Tony Starks? What's up? What's up? And I start bringing them into the conversation, and they start saying, hey, what's up, Henry? How are you? Awesome. And then they start asking questions, and then they start getting, and then now when you start getting those questions, when you start getting that dialogue, things are going to start to ring off in your head. You're going to say something that's going to spark. For example, I created this one-liner just out of nowhere one day. I said, I was writing an email, and I was like, the quality of your brand determines the quality of your clients. And it was crazy because I did a Facebook Live, and at the end of the live, I said that. And then I did a Facebook boosted post, and I boosted that live, and somebody resonated with that one-liner, got on a consult call with me, and turned into a $25,000 client over the course of 4 months. And
that's a good point to bring up, because the reality is people don't want to see the fabricated brand or the fabricated person on a video. They want to see a real person that's shifting on the fly and responding to people that are in front of you, and just producing real content. As soon as you can become a real person and no longer your company, it resonates with your clientele, and it allows them to then reach out to you and like you just said, end up becoming a client and happy about that.
Listen, people want to connect with people that like the same things that they do, that experience the same things that they do, and that's the bottom line. Now, one of the biggest things I struggled with when things started to get real digital was I didn't have, believe it or not, Robin, I did not have my personality out there enough. I had a beautiful website. I dumped a ton of money into my website. I did great work. You know, my design was very, you knew it was me. So it was very signature, and so people could pick out a unique design project right away. But I was just another designer rocking out. Like there was nothing.
Found your voice yet?
Haven't found my voice, and I'm an outgoing guy, you know. And it took one of my coaches to really, when things started to really hit the fan and things started to go backwards, you know, I reached out to a coach. I paid him a chunk load of money I didn't have, but it worked out. And he said, dude, you got to get your personality out there, man, because you got a big mouth. I mean, and he gave it to me straight.
Use it to your advantage.
Yeah. So, and there you go. There you go. I mean, focus on your strengths. And we were talking about this offline. You know, some of you guys are phenomenal writers, but are mortified of the camera. Guess what? Start doing blogs. Some of you guys have a great radio voice, right? And like to talk, but get choked up on camera. Start a podcast. You know, some of you guys hate podcasts, hate writing, but could talk for days and happen to be very comfortable in front of the camera. Start a YouTube vlog or start a YouTube show. You know, focus on your strengths, like Robin's saying, and it's content creation is going to become a lot easier for you, right? I mean,
I've seen that with so many clients, is that growth of, I don't know what to do. And then, you know, that whole, you give them a little bit and let them take it on their own and see where they go with it, and then guide them. And I've had clients for the last 7 years since we started that are still our clients, and people that had no clue about what to do in social media and how to reach out to their followers that are now on every day and doing the videos and finding their followers. So they're finding their customer on Instagram and Facebook, and they're really reaching out to them that way. So it's amazing. It's an amazing journey that you really have to see it that way. You have to see your brand as this organic process that you're growing with it. You know, it's funny because that's sort of the core to our business. Is it is a very much an organic process. It's an organic marketing process where every little step takes you one step closer to that goal, and then you change the goal. You find a new goal and you reach it. And you'll find that your business will just start flowing. And that's what we all want. So we just want that flow. So it's not hitting wall after wall. It's just a constant up and down flow that creates this energy that we all sort of provide. Something you brought up earlier that I wanted to sort of circle back to is not everybody will resonate with your personality. So when you go onto a video, your clients there may be 100 people watching. 50% of those may not be your client. 25% of them may be, and then maybe you'll finally resonate with 5% of that group. But that 5% you're going to get along famously with, because they're seeing who you are online. They're relating to it, and they're seeing this energy. And I hate using sort of that buzzword, but it's true. You need to find clients that work well with you. And this is a good opportunity to be who you are for them to reach out and then realize, yeah, this is who I want to work with. I think that's a big thing too. It's a big growth process.
It's huge. And I always like to say, draw the line in the sand and draw it deep. And you'll watch who comes over on your side of the fence and who stays on the other side. And don't try to be everything to everyone. And I think that's where people go into sort of paralysis, because they want to attract everyone, right? They want to.
Yes. Who's your customer? Everybody. No, really. Let's be honest.
They want to please everyone, and unfortunately, that's not how life works.
Yes. Yeah.
So you bring up a great point. Listen, people are going to love you. People are going to hate you.
Yeah.
Own that shit and move on. Okay? Because when you start to draw that line in the sand, you're going to start to create raving fans. And that's all you need, is a small handful of raving fans to drive your brand's reach and engagement and all of that good stuff. And so sort of embrace the strengths, right? Embrace your values, embrace that story that you want to tell. And listen, we're on this earth, on the big scheme of things, for like 2 minutes at the end of the day, right? So who do you want to do business with? Do you want to do business with a bunch of pain in the asses that you hate working with? Or do you want to work with like-minded people that get you, right? And so the other thing I want to sort of get into when you're creating content, and I got this from Simon Sinek, and this was so profound for me when he said this. He said a lot of people go out there and they try to become validated by their audience, right? They seek the validation from their audience, and they start to become something that they're not just to be validated by their audience. And he said that is the demise of your brand. He said you got to go out there and stand for what it is that you believe in, and let them come to you.
Absolutely.
Okay?
Yeah.
I thought that was strong, because, there's some people out there teaching, you gotta, and this is true. You can't create a product that nobody wants to buy or a service that nobody needs, right? But at the same time, so you got to do your homework there. But at the same time, there's a way to position yourself. There's a way to communicate that. And the more real, like you said, you do it. And the more you treat your brand as a human being, or this organic creature, the more you're going to win. That's a great point you bring up, Robin.
The interesting thing is, you're not even just creating followers, you're creating evangelists for your business. The reality is a referral is not necessarily that client that loves your work and goes to the next person and says, you should really go use these guys. A referral comes in many ways. And if you have evangelists out there, people who believe in your brand as much as you do, then you're golden. Then there's such a following that can come from that. And that's a referral, the same as anything else. It's still, if people believe in you, they're going to suggest, go see this guy, go see this company. Just whether they've used you or not, whether they've used your services or not, because they believe in your services. And that credibility, there's nothing that can compare to it.
Yeah, I agree. And so I want to get back to, this is some great stuff, by the way. I appreciate you dropping these bombs. I want to get back to another way to create content in a very stress-free manner. And it's documenting your process and showcasing your process, showcasing your service. When I do strategy calls with my clients, I record them all. And I have a pretty big team. I have 16 people that work underneath me. So I have a project manager that handles everybody. She's like my general. And, basically we have different teams. We have a YouTube team, Instagram team, dev team, design team, right? And so when we're working with clients through the different phases, right, we're recording and documenting it all. We get the videos produced, right, to make them look sharp, make them look entertaining, make them look, right? And we put that on our YouTube channel. We put that out there. Because the one thing people want to see is what's behind the curtain. Absolutely. And I want to get your take on this, Robin. I know so many people out there that are so scared shitless of putting out their process, right? I see these Instagram memes all the day long. Never show your next move, right? I say horseshit to that. Show them everything. Why? Because 98% of them ain't going to do anything with it. And there's 7 freaking billion people in this world to market to. Right?
The reality is people are not going to steal your idea. If they want to, then it's up to them to develop it, but they're going to wait to see how you do first. You know, it's funny because it's like when you have that great, brilliant product idea that may take off or not, but if you sit on it, nothing's going to happen. But if you go to a group of people and you say, listen, I'm looking to do this, let's do this, and nobody in that room is going to go and take your idea. They're going to see how you do first. So by putting everything out there, you're just being transparent so that everybody knows to really just watch what you're doing and come to you for that process.
Wow, that was a surge and a half. Sorry for the technical difficulties, my friend. But
I saw a blank screen and went, oh, wait, I'm in here alone now.
We had a little brownout or something. So anyway, let's just pick up where we left off. So basically, what we were talking about was, stealing people stealing the scarcity mindset, the fear of people, stealing your process or taking your ideas and running with it. Listen, nobody's doing any of that. I can promise you that. They want to, like you said, Robin, they want to watch you fail, and then they want to pick it up where you left off, right? Or they'll try to make it better somehow, some way. But listen, here's the real deal. Nobody can duplicate you. That's the unique prop here.
I think that sorry, I lost my train of thought here. I think that there's one key thing that connects it, and it's just going out and doing it. And the reality is if people are going to copy, I mean, from a content standpoint specifically, and in this case, say Instagram Live or something like that, if people are copying what you're doing and copying that content process that you're developing, then good on you, because you're doing something right for them to follow you. So then it comes to your personality versus theirs, and your brand and your plan versus theirs. And the reality is no brand is going to be like another. It's all going to be unique to you. So no matter how you do it, they can take your process from that standpoint, but you're going to be unique with the way you're presenting the content. So there shouldn't be really any fear there in that case, and you should just really just go out and do it. I think that's the key. That's the key, is just to reach out and to do the content, to build the content, make your mistakes, fail repeatedly, learn from it, and come back even stronger.
Absolutely. I agree wholeheartedly. And it's funny because I see a lot of people. So Gary Vaynerchuk really nailed the whole vlog, production thing down. I mean, he's got, 2 camera people, the photographer. I mean, he's got a little entourage following him around now. Yep. And, it's interesting because I'm seeing people sort of use that as a model, and some people are doing a really good job with it. Like Gerard Adams is a guy who has a pretty big following on Instagram, and he's very successful in what he does. He's a Jersey boy himself, and as highly produced his vlogs are, they don't match Gary's. Like Gary's is sort of the original, right? Yeah. And he's got his own flair, like you said, and that's the point. That's the point. People will try to imitate and try to model, but it'll never be like you. And you just got to own that and understand that you will be you and they will be them. And listen, another way to look at it is this. You can't take anything with you when we leave this earth. So you might as well put it out there. I mean, let's go basic here for a second.
It's funny that you mentioned that, because the reality is And it's been said way too often, but unless you're taking action on something, then you're doing nothing. So really, I mean, you can sit there and say all you want, oh, I want it to be perfect, or I want this, I want that. But if you're sitting there thinking about it, then you're not doing it. You're not out there creating. You're not out there building your content. It really comes down to taking action. And I'm bad for that too, where I have plans in place and look back a year going, oh, I never did that. I should do that, and just action on it and just take those steps, take that chance and make it happen. Another thing you mentioned that I thought was interesting is, you have a production team for video, and it's great to refine that video in certain cases, but people still want to see that raw video. They still want to see that rawness to any content. Because it creates that reality. It sort of deters that perfection side of things. And I agree with both sides. Sometimes you need refined video and you really need to have that production quality. But other times, raw is best. You look at Gary's stuff, and as much as his is produced, when he started, it wasn't. Just picking up a phone and putting it on his face and starting to talk. And I mean, there's probably a number of takes in there too of, oh, well, I lost my train of thought and stopped the video and started again. But that's real. And that's life. And that's,
Just like how this podcast just crapped out on us. So now I'm going to have my team sort of weld it together. But, that's what people want. People, yeah. There's a guy on Facebook. I don't know if you follow him, Sean Whalen. He has a pretty massive following on Facebook. And, I had him on the podcast a couple years ago. Last year. And he said, dude, there's one thing that people are starving for, and it's the truth. So just give it to them. And I'll never forget that to the day that I die. I thought that was so basic, but yet so profound, because that's all. There's so much garbage out there. I mean, garbage. People with the fake bots and the followers and the, they got 287,000 followers and 240,000 of them are all purchased and botted. Give me a freaking break. And I know Gary goes on tantrums about people focusing on how many likes and followers you have. How about put out freaking awesome content? How about put out content that's real and that you put your heart into, right? And do that. Then you'll see the follower count. You'll see all of that come organically. Yeah. So, but if you're out there just trying to get another 25 likes, and I'm throwing myself under the bus here because I did a little I did a little contest yesterday about getting to 52,000 followers, and what I'm doing there is trying to get other people to share my content. To engage other people and to share my content, to get it in front of more people. I don't give a shit about the like count. I want more people to consume what it is that I'm saying, because what it is that I'm saying, people need to hear. That's what I'm trying to get at. So don't get it twisted by me thinking that, I'm going to get a hard on after I hit 52,000 followers. It's not about that. I'm out there trying to engage my audience, and I put enough content out there. I can ask for things here and there. Gary talks about that a lot. And my ask yesterday was, hey, help me spread my word. Yeah. And I had some big accounts that I'm friends with say no more. And they went and they put me in their story, and they put me in they just did shouts for me, graciously. And
your content provides a solution, right? It provides that assistance. So the value is the content itself, to be able to put it out there. So, I mean, it's asking people to share valuable content isn't a stretch. It's not something that's you're looking for attention. You're looking to reach more people to provide a message to, and that's an interesting insight to provide to people, is you're providing a solution. You're providing answers that I'm sure a lot of your followers have asked themselves. So, the value is there for the content. And if you can provide valuable content, the followers will come. Sharing content and reaching out and asking for, a bigger audience. There's nothing wrong with that, because that's to do a positive thing. So
and you know what's funny, Robin? If you don't ask, what's the answer always?
Absolutely. Yeah.
No. Right? And so so it must have been people resonating with my Instagram story yesterday, because when I posted today, I saw a bunch of my followers tagging their friends saying, hey, this is what you need to start watching. This is what you need. I forget the one. It was so funny. He was like, you need some more of this in your life. Right? And I was like, that's what I'm talking about. And listen, I hit every single one of those people up, and I thank them for sharing. And
well, actually, Robin, you bring up a good point. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there, but you bring up a really good point. It's about that engagement. It's not about when digital content came out, it was growth hacking, right? Like, it was about reaching out and grabbing more customers, but it's no longer about that. It's about client engagement. It's about reaching out to your potential customer or your existing customers and engage with them. Start that conversation and keep it going. So it's a different world out there, and it's so true that's the best way to look at it.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. So we're rounding the corner here. I want to wrap up, sort of summarize what we were talking about. So first and foremost, one of the things that we want to do to help you, create stress-free ways to creating content, I should say, is to ask yourself, what story do you want to tell? Get clear with that. Get authentic with that. Get real with that. Then the next thing you want to do is really pay attention to your audience and make sure you understand their challenges, their needs, their wants, their desires, and talk to them about it. Ask them questions, engage, bring them into the conversation. The third thing we talked about was documenting and sharing your process and showing people what's behind the curtain and not being afraid of that. Because when I tell you, you'll have content for days. I mean, every strategy call that I do on a daily basis gets recorded and produced and presented. And, that just goes to show people that you're the real deal, right? Because right now, everyone's so damn skeptical. And so if you can show them this is what you're doing, there's no hiding. You know what I mean?
Let your content be your case study.
That's it. Boom. Let your content be your case study. I love that. Am I forgetting anything, Robin?
I think it's just being honest with yourself and hitting those points for sure, but just going out and doing it, taking action. I think that's the best thing that anybody can take away is just do it. You can have that fear of what are people going to think? Who cares? Just do it. And it'll get better. It'll get easier.
And that was the one thing that I forgot. It's focusing on your strengths. If you're not good with video, don't do video. It's that simple, guys. Like, it was so funny.
Except that you might not do well the first time.
Right, exactly. When I go meet these guys out in conferences and Gary Vaynerchuk's wine library is not far from my house. And so he did an event. It was very intimate. It was about 80 people, but only maybe I think 80 were invited and like 60 of us showed up, right? And so it was really, really intimate. It was upstairs in wine library and we were talking. And so I had time to talk to Gary one-on-one very quickly. But I said, Gary, my wife always makes fun of me that I talk about myself a lot. And he's like, and I said, but I'm trying to do that as I'm building my personal brand. I want to get
telling your story.
To tell who I am, right? And he's like, all right, well, there's nothing wrong with that. That's fine. And you're building a personal brand, so talk about yourself. But if you're getting upset about talking about yourself, then stop talking about yourself. And I'm like, no, Gary, you're supposed to give me like a dissertation on what I should be. You're supposed to give me this long drawn out answer. And he didn't. And he says, dude, just interview people. That'll take everything away from you and put everything onto them. That's how you do it. Got it? And he always does that. Got it? And I was like, got it. And I walked out of there, and that was the biggest nugget that, it's not brain science here, guys. If you're uncomfortable about doing something, don't do it. And he's a big like triple down on your strengths guy. Find what it is that you love to do. Me, it happens to be podcasting and video. And that's what I do, on my,
The bottom line is people like ourselves, we're here to guide people. We're here to guide with the strategy and take all those pieces that entrepreneurs don't have themselves. It's not where their strengths are, and guide them through the process. And it's podcasts like this that help that, right? So it's all about the engagement. It's about engaging our customers as well as their own customers and figuring out what resonates best.
That's it. So, dude, I thank you so much for taking the time out today.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And sharing your knowledge and your wisdom, and I could tell that you're very passionate about what you do, like me. That's why we connected right away. So appreciate you coming on the show and just dropping some bombs for us. So real quick, before we head out, I just want to go over some housekeeping stuff like I normally do. If you haven't joined the Brand Doctors Hangout yet on Facebook, go over to Facebook right now and join that group. There's about 360 of us now in that group. It's a tight little group, but it is a family-oriented environment it's a bunch of entrepreneurs just trying to help each other, build each other up, and guide each other in the right direction. Because entrepreneurship is a team sport. Business is a team sport, and if you're not doing it with people and you're not doing it and having fun with it, then get out. Right. So come over to the group and hang out with us and drop some knowledge. We're here to learn as well as the guide. And then last but not least, if you haven't subscribed to this podcast yet or haven't shared it with a friend or a colleague yet, I invite you to do that. And I appreciate it. And I thank you in advance for doing that. Guys, I got to jump. I got another call in about 10 minutes. So have an amazing day, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Talk soon.
You've been listening to the Brand Doctor Podcast with Henry Kaminski Jr. To get your appointment with the doctor, visit Brand Audit at www.uniquedesignz.net.